Thank you, Fiona, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Apologies if there's any connection issues, but hopefully you'll be able to hear me and see the presentation I'm sharing. It's good to be back here on Tech Thursday, and I'm very excited to be showing you how Clarity automates workflows, reminders, and processes, saving you time. So like Fiona said, Clarity is the one unified platform for complete supporter engagement for all your fundraising needs. At Clarity, our focus is on empowering your team to succeed, and the Clarity Community platform can provide you with tools for every part of the supporter journey. Our aim is for fundraising teams to spend less time on admin tasks and more time engaging with supporters, building deeper relationships, inspiring them to take that next step in becoming donors, advocates, and fundraisers for your cause. So today I'm going to show you a quick overview of the powerful journey features within the Clarity Community platform. You can use these tools to automate your supporter journeys and save a lot of time. We'll talk about some of the journey building tools that are available out of the box within Clarity and how they integrate with different modules across the Clarity platform. I'll show you how a one-off donor journey and a regular giver journey could look like. And then we'll go deeper into how Clarity automates failed payment retries. That's my favorite part, the failed payment retries and communications to regular donors. And when we talk about Clarity being the one platform for all your fundraising needs, journeys are a great example of how the different modules of Clarity, so those greens modules at the top, how they interact with each other to provide seamless automation for you, your team, and your supporters. So first, on the contacts module, you can see a comprehensive view of all your supporters' interactions with your organization. And here is also where you will be able to manage your own tasks and to-dos related to each supporter. And this is also where you will build the step-by-step of each journey using Clarity's case management functionalities. And many journeys will have the goal of acquiring donations. So that's usually the ultimate, the conversion that you're looking for. And many actions on these journeys are triggered by a donation that someone made. So someone went on their website or they responded to an ad and they made a donation, and then that starts the journey right there. All of this is managed within the commerce module. So commerce is all about transactions. So here is where you will manage your one-off, your recurring giving, your peer-to-peer fundraising, and events and tickets, all your transactions and everything transactional in one place. And this is where you're able to set all of that up yourself. The next module we'll look at is Connect. So this is where you will find marketing and communications. So that includes email marketing, SMS, social media, ad tracking, direct mail, telemarketing, you name it. Any communication tool, that's all in the Connect module. And the same functionalities within Clarity that you would use to create, for example, an appeal email, you will also use the same functionality to create journey emails or SMS messaging or manage telemarketing calls. So all of that, it's using the same tools that you normally use on your appeals and campaigns as well. And finally, on the content module, you can build, this is where you build and update the content of your website. So talking about campaign pages, donation pages, but then this is where you get to create beautiful campaign pages, lead engagement pages, or even simple donation pages that will either be at the start of a supporter journey or throughout a supporter journey that you are building. So you can start to see how the integrated functionalities of Clarity, everything that you have available within these modules that I was showing you, how all of that works together when it comes to supporter journeys. So I'm talking about using the case management functionalities, the payment processing and scheduling, integrated marketing solutions. So that's your email, SMS, direct mail, telemarketing, social media, all of those, and a website content. It's a level of integration, automation, and seamlessness that would be very hard to achieve if you were using different platforms for each of these functions, which usually happens to be the case. But let's have a look now at how this can work in practice, how all of this comes together. So here are some examples of journeys that you can get in Clarity straight out of the box. So when you first start with Clarity, you can get these journeys available for you. With a lead engagement journey, you can start, for example, with a social media post or a statement of support campaign, and then take your leads through a series of communications, encouraging their engagement, getting to know your organization, and even with donation asks in between. With a peer-to-peer fundraiser journey, when someone creates their peer-to-peer fundraising page, you can send them communications, not just from the fact that they created a page, but also the fact that you know their fundraising progress. So Clarity knows what their fundraising goal is and how much they raised so far. And you can set up emails then to encourage them according to their achievements. So this means that you can have different journeys and send different communications to fundraisers based on how much they've raised so far. If they haven't raised anything yet, or if they're halfway through, or if they've completed and you wanted to, they reach their goal and you want to encourage them to raise more funds. You can set all of that up yourself, and it's great. And on the other ones down the list, I'll show you more details on how the one-off, the regular giver, and the failed payments work on the next slide. Again, these are all out of the box when you first start with Clarity, but it's good to know that within each of these, you get a lot of flexibility to set them up yourself and change them based on your needs. So here we have an example of how 2 simple journeys could look like. These are very simple. They're great to start with. For a one-off, they're in blue, and then regular giving, they're in green. They're very simple examples, but again, you have the flexibility to configure these yourself, so you can make them add a lot more communications there and make them more complex as you get more familiar with Clarity and depending on your needs. We've seen some organizations do some really amazing work in this space. So I'll start with the blue journey first, the one-off. When a one-off donor comes along, in this example here, they'll get a receipt or a confirmation email, a thank you email, and then based on their communication preferences, they will receive then a series of emails. So then you can see there, the 7 days later, they might get a welcome email, 14 days later, they get another one. If they decide to make a regular gift at any point, Clarity will automatically move them to the regular giving journey, which is in green there. So you can set up, emails, SMS. I think on this example, I have an SMS there. You can send letters or like a welcome pack, something like that, or tasks for your own staff, telemarketing calls. So letters and tasks, we have there like a welcome pack, which would be a letter. We'll generate a reminder for someone on your staff or a volunteer to actually action them, to actually physically send a letter. Telemarketing calls can be a reminder for your staff if they are doing those calls themselves, or they can be exported on a file, or they can be sent directly to your telemarketing agency via API. And then emails and SMS messages are just sent automatically from Clarity, so you don't even have to think about it. Clarity just does it for you. And this could include then links to content pages that would encourage engagement. There are just so many possibilities here. So one, thinking about the regular giving journey, one organization that we've been working with recently, they set up 10 years worth of communications for regular donors. So this means sending regular donors thank you emails for their commitment on every anniversary, and then up to 10 years. And I think they have some other communications in between as well. And it's a lot of work at the start, but then it's pretty much set and forget. They just have Clarity manages all of that for them. And I think this wouldn't be as easy to achieve if they were doing this manually using email lists, which sometimes happens to be the case. And within a regular giving journey, for example, if a supporter unsubscribes, or if they upgrade, or if they cancel their regular donation, their journey then automatically changes, and Clarity will manage all of that. But my favorite one has to be the failed payment journey. And that is because there's just so much automation that happens here. So I'll spend a bit more time talking about this one. We've had this functionality for a number of years now, and the feedback we receive is that it just saves so much time and it improves retention rates across the board. Clarity handles recurring charges for you automatically. So when you are setting up how your regular giving program will look like, you can specify all the details of how you would like your recurring payments to look like. So here we're going to look at the standard monthly regular giving, but there are other possibilities there that you can set up yourself. When payments fail, Clarity then will retry using the fail payment schedule. It automatically reattempts payments when cards are declined and communicates with the donor accordingly to increase your recovery chances. So what we have here then starts with automatic payment retries with payment failure classification. So this means looking at how and why this payment failed. So was it insufficient funds, or was it lost card, or was it expired card? And then making a decision on when and how often we should retry it. We'll look at the donor history to determine what's the best way to communicate with them. So Clarity will do that. If a major donor's regular gift fails, you might want someone from your team to give them a call instead of sending them an email. Or if a brand new donor regular gift, if a brand new donor's regular gift fails, you might prefer to email them first instead of calling straight away. So this is up to you how you prefer to treat different donors differently based on their history. And then again, if you're giving them a call or sending them a letter, then we're using Clarity's case management system, where you create a task for someone on your staff to complete, to send the letter or give the call. And then most retention journeys that I see, they include a telemarketing call at some point, and then Clarity can send those to your telemarketing agency straight away via API. So here is an example of how this can look like. Clarity will choose the best times to retry failed payment attempts to increase the chance of successfully getting that donation. And then Clarity will attempt to retry the donor's charge multiple times, depending on the payment type. So if it's a credit card or a direct debit account that we're talking about, and the type of decline, if it's a hard failure, hard decline, or soft decline. This example here is for what could happen on the first month of a credit card declined regular donation. So it's a very small, we're just looking at like a really simple example of how this would look like. And the payment retries, they work hand in hand with Clarity's journey features. So the fail payment journey allows you to automatically send communications to your donors when the donation fails. So you can see here in this example that we will communicate with the donor sooner if it's a hard failure, which is just best practice. So that's the red path on the top. So we'll retry it for 2 more times and then we'll communicate with them straight away. If it's a soft failure, that's the orange path down the bottom. We will try a few more times and we'll communicate with them on day 7 in this example. You can see that in the communication box, on the top and the bottom, that Clarity will send the most appropriate communication depending on the donor's preference and the details that we have on file and their giving history. So we can give them a call, we can send them an email, an SMS, or a letter, or a combination of those. That's up to you. If we weren't able to reach the donor and update their details, then we'll repeat a similar process again on the following month. And most organizations will continue to reattempt the payment up to 3 or 4 months. One of them has been changed that to 6 months now to see how the rates will work with that. It's up to you. And if you don't want to use Clarity's out of the box rules, if you have your own preference or expertise on how your donors best respond to these communications, then we can configure your own for you. But I think I've shown you enough slides already, and let's go into Clarity, and I can show you how this looks like in action. And again, because it's all automated, I'll be showing you things that Clarity is doing. I actually don't have much to do myself because Clarity handles everything for me. So I'm going to jump onto my other tab here to look at a particular contact. So I'm logged in Clarity now, and I'm on the contacts module, and I filtered here to look for this contact, Mike Davidson. It's a fictitious contact, so if you know someone with this name, it's just a coincidence, not the same person. When I open his contact, I can see here an overview, some personal details. I can see everything about his history. So because Clarity is the one platform integrated, I can see his giving details. I can see case management, communications. And then here down the bottom, I can see a summary of his financials. But let me look at his recurring, since we're talking about declines. When I go to his recurrence tab, I can see that he had a recurring regular giving that started on the 21st of December, 2020 of $13, and it's now lost. So whenever he started on the 21st of December, that triggers then a regular giving journey, like I was showing you before. So when I go to his cases tab, let's have a look there. I can see here that on that same day, Clarity triggered a regular giving journey. When I open that, I can see more details of what happened. So on this day, he had his first debit successful, and then Clarity triggered a letter activity for someone on your staff to manage that and send that letter or a welcome pack. And then Clarity sent him a series of triggered communications, and then again, emails and SMS, all of those are sent automatically. And then I can see that he lost, like his recurrence got stopped at some point. So let's see what happened there. When I look at his transactions, I'll click on view sales because I want to see all of his transactions. So here again, I have that same first donation that he made on the 21st of December of $13. When it came to the 21st of January, so his second month, his payment started to fail. So let me open that to see more details. When I open that, I can see that this is a regular donation again, and this was on the 21st of January. When I open the payments tab, there it is. So here are the retries that I was talking about. So Clarity attempted his first payment for January on the 21st. If I click through, I can see more details. I can see the card that was used for that. I can see that this is a soft failure, which means that we'll try this more often and we'll communicate with him probably a bit later than a hard failure. And if this was a real payment, this is just a test, but if this was a real payment, I would also get more details from the payment gateway about why this failed. I can see here the series of retries, and then the same thing would have happened on February and March. We tried it for 3 months and then we stopped his recurrence. If I go back to his profile under the cases tab, I can see here under the failed payment case that Clarity automatically sent him an email on the 27th of January, 27th of February, letting him know that his payment declined, that he can update his payment details. This email can even include a link so they can do that themselves without needing to call you or even log in. It's very straightforward and simple. And then because his recurrence was lost, Clarity then automatically sends him also a cancellation email, letting him know that we've tried too many times, up for 3 months, and you can always come back if you want to. This donor was probably going to a reactivation journey at some point soon. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to show you, how Clarity does all of that, the retries and the communications for both active regular donors and failed payment donors. But I think we have time for some questions now, and I will leave it to Fiona to manage that. I just want to thank you before we go into questions for your time and your interest in Clarity. And yeah.
Thanks, Raphael. That was great. And I really encourage people to put their questions up now if they have them. I am going to start with one I just noted down while I was listening. If an organization is thinking about transferring over to Clarity from a different system, and they already have some donor journeys set up in their existing system, is there any way of transferring those over, or do they really need to set them up from scratch in Clarity? You mentioned an organization that set up 10 years worth.
I know, and this one particularly, they already had the donors that were halfway through, and we can do that as well. So if you're bringing donors that are halfway through a journey, they can start from where they're at. You don't have to go back to the beginning or forget about those donors altogether. And so we can set up. Usually when people come, when new organizations come to Clarity, they might take this as an opportunity to rethink the structure of their journeys and what communications they're sending and when. But overall, you can bring over existing donors and have them start halfway through where they're already at. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Because I just wanted to ask, because I kind of thought, I wonder if that kind of, if you're transferring people over, as you say, halfway through a journey, would it kind of mess up their journey? But it doesn't sound like it would. So that's really good to know. And then something else I wanted to ask is, you mentioned a few times about team members, that the system is able to send team members prompts to remind them to do things that are manual. So pick up the phone and make a call as part of someone's journey, or send them a letter. How do those team members receive those prompts? Is it task reminders within Clarity, or do they get an email, or what does that look like?
You can choose the best way that you would like that to work. Everyone does that differently. So you can have some of these tasks, like a letter or telemarketing call, assigned either to certain individuals. So some, if it's like major donor management, you might assign that to a certain person. But other tasks like a telemarketing call or like an in-house call, you might assign that to a whole team, and then everyone will get that task on their list. And you can choose if you want to, if you just want them to see it on their list when they log in, or if you actually want to email them a reminder. Yeah.
Great. And are reminders set up for when significant activity happens? So let's say, for example, someone becomes a regular giver for the first time. Is it possible for team members to receive a notification that has happened, or are those kind of notifications possible in Clarity?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, you can choose at which of those points you would want to notify someone, or even just let things take its course and have the automated emails and communications happen. But I know that for some of those touch points, it would be great for someone to be notified and maybe call the donor or send them like a written thank you note. Yes. Even things depending on the amount of the donation, or if it's a reactivated donor or an upgraded donor that you want to give them special attention. So it's possible to have those as well. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's great. Are you able to, and you might not be able to, are you able to give us any examples of charities that you've worked with who are using this tool really well? Or any campaigns that are doing it really well?
Yeah, I think, there are some details on our website, which is on the screen there, Clarity Community website. So some organizations have been doing some great work on this space that I would say would be the Nature Conservancy. They have some really great, has done some really great work on journeys and really push the boundaries of clarity. We love to see when you come up with challenges and new ideas for us to figure out how you could do it. And so they've been doing some great work there. IHC New Zealand as well, with digital, moving the last few years, moving a lot to pivoting to digital. I think there's some other organizations as well doing the same. And the Nature Conservancy in Hong Kong, it's the one doing the 10-year anniversary and the migration from existing donors as well. So I think there's some other examples on our website as well with a bit more detail. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. And there's just one last question here. Okay, so what it's asking is when donors are getting the retry notifications, I think this is what it's asking, what is it driving people to? Is it driving them to a payment page, or how is it, where is it directing them to?
Yeah, that part, so that email is content managed, like you can write your own content there. You can, like, you have the option of directing them to an update your payment details page, and that could even the part that I like the most is that that could even have a secure magic link that allows you to update your payment details without needing to log in or remember a password or anything like that. It's very straightforward and still secure. There are some rules around how that can be used, but it's proven to be, we've been using that for a couple of years now, and it's proven to be a very straightforward method that really takes your staff or your volunteers, they really don't have to worry about it because the email is automated, and then the donor does it all themselves. They don't have to call you back, and you don't have to call them. And there's been we had some great feedback about that feature in the last year or two.
Yeah, I'm sure, because I think, thank you so much for today, because I think what you've really spoken about is something that a lot of organizations struggle with from a time point of view, which is but processes which are really, really crucial, which is kind of donor journeys and failed donations, and if you're doing those two things manually, it's just hugely time consuming. So to hear that so much of it can be automated, that's really, really valuable. So thank you for explaining that to us today, Raphael. And I know this is Clarity's last presentation in Tech Thursday, so thank you so much for being with us for this series. It's been great to have you with us, and thank you to everyone who's joined us today and for the other sessions. We only have one more session, and that's next Thursday, so we hope to see some of you there. And in the meantime, we will get the recording from this session out to you along with the slides. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good afternoon. Thank you.